Are we live watching that Shizzy's hitting the fizzy in Kamchatka in Russia, in the area where we just had last year, the Megathrust earthquake, magnitude 8.8? Because right now, something very, very strange is happening. Normally, I would say, yeah, that's just aftershocks from the Megathrust earthquake. They can happen months till years after the quake, but now it's clustering. Bang, 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 bang. Magnitude 6 point something, 6 point something. I mean, look at the USGS image here, and they keep coming while I'm speaking. 6.6, 6.0, USGS says 5.8, other agencies say 5.3, 4.4, 4.9, stuff like that. I'm like, what is happening? This is not the same location like the Megathrust earthquake. It's a little bit further off there. So could this mean one of the most dangerous subduction zones is now breaking at another spot? There has been a warning from the authorities that we could see something bigger now. So let's look into this. And guys, I tell you, it's almost 2 a.m. here right now. And I was just thinking, oh, I just finished another video that I'm editing for you guys. And you know, I was getting a coffee and I was aiming at my couch and I was looking at a nice movie, and then I bought this. I love tiramisu. So I was thinking, well, no, I wasn't thinking. I actually sat on my couch with this in front of me and this in front of me. And you know what happened then? Ding dong, ding dong. My earthquake warning system went off. So I'm like, okay, I'll look at it. This is an aftershock. But then ding dong, ding dong. I'm like, another 6, another 6. This is crazy. So I'm putting that back in the fridge, guys, and I'm here for you. Let's look into this because you have to hear this. So what can we call that? Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula has just been hit by a rapid burst of strong offshore earthquakes, as you can see here on the earthquake map. So, and just a few minutes ago, another strong one, right, in the magnitude 6 range. So all of this is happening offshore from Petropavlovsk-Kamchatka in one of the most dangerous earthquake zones on Earth. And the important part that we have to look at here is not only the magnitude, it is definitely the location. These quakes are happening, well, if you follow my channel, and I hope you do, you've heard about this, the Kuril-Kamchatka subduction zone along the Pacific Ring of Fire. The subduction zones are the most dangerous ones, right? The Pacific plate is diving beneath the North American plate system near Russia at about 8 millimeters per year. That's about that much, like 8 centimeters. That's more than 3 inches every year. And that makes it also one of the fastest moving convergent margins on the whole planet. So this is the same gigantic plate boundary that produced last year's magnitude 8.8 megathrust earthquake in Kamchatka. And that quake was definitely not a normal earthquake, right? It was one of the largest earthquakes ever recorded by modern instruments and the biggest worldwide since Japan's 2011 magnitude 9.1 Tohoku megaquake. And it did rupture a huge offshore section of that fault line. So USGS said the fault tore through an area quite large, roughly 300 by 100 miles. That's 480 by 160 kilometers with up to 30 feet or 9 meters of slip. So is this new cluster a new location? Is that fault, that subduction zone now ripping at another spot? This is the big question, and that's why this new cluster, this is a cluster in a very short period of time. Bang, 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 bang. So a megathrust earthquake is not just a dot on a map. It's basically a giant tear through the plate boundary, right? So, and after a rupture that was that large last year, the surrounding fault does not immediately become quiet. We know that. Aftershocks, right? The stress is moving, the edges adjust, and that's the problem. Neighboring sections can be loaded. And that is the danger zone that scientists watch after every gigantic subduction zone megathrust earthquake. So not only the center of the old rupture, but you have to look at the edges. So the new quakes are not perfectly on top of the magnitude 8.8 epicenter, right? The 8.8 epicenter you see behind me was in this location here. They're slightly off sit, but within the same subduction system. And that opens or puts the elephant in the room. That opens the serious question. Is this only the old rupture settling? Hashtag aftershocks. Or is this another part of the megathrust beginning to respond? So USGS has already warned that after the magnitude 8.8 aftershock earthquake, aftershocks could continue for weeks, months, or even years. In the first week after the main shock, their forecast gave a 96% chance of magnitude 6 plus aftershocks and a 24% chance of magnitude 7 plus aftershocks, right? But that's the first week. So that was not a prediction for a specific day, but it shows how dangerous the sequence remained after the mega quake. And we see a lot of aftershocks in the big quake that we just had in Tonga, in the Philippines, right? So yes, but that many, that high, in such a short cluster and period of time, definitely we can say the region is producing a strong clustered seismicity. And with the violent history of Kamchatka, I mean, not just last year, 1952, same subduction system produced a Megathrust earthquake, magnitude 9. That event ruptured about 600 kilometers, 370 miles off the plate boundary towards the southwest, and also tsunami. Let's not forget about tsunamis generated as a destructive tsunami. So this cluster hasn't triggered a tsunami warning as of yet. But the northern section is also very, very dangerous. USGS says in 1923, we had a magnitude 8.4 earthquake that occurred about 150 kilometers, that's 93 miles north of last year's magnitude 8.8 epicenter. So that last year quake, the 8.8, appears to have generally filled the small gap that was there between the old 1923 rupture to the north and the 1952 rupture to the southwest. So that is the key warning, in my opinion, right? If the current activity is migrating towards the northern edge, or if stress is concentrating near an adjacent locked and loaded patch, the danger is not just another magnitude 6, right? The concern would be a larger aftershock-ish thing, possibly magnitude 7 or above. So that does not mean, don't get me wrong, that a magnitude 7 is guaranteed right now. Earthquakes cannot be predicted in that way. But again, if a megathrust zone has produced a megathrust earthquake, and then begins throwing off multiple strong shallow quakes again, that is above normal background activity. So that means that plate boundary is very active right now. And the 6.6 that just happened right now has produced an estimated shaking around intensity 5 to 6 on the USGS shake map. So that means it was widely felt and it was strong enough for people near the region to notice it very clearly. So no tsunami threat if you're in Alaska, British Columbia, Hawaii, Washington, Oregon, or California. But the local offshore risk remains real. Let's not forget about that. Because a much larger shallow thrust earthquake on this boundary is the type of earthquake that can lift the seafloor and generate a tsunami, because this is exactly what megathrust earthquakes do. So this is why Kamchatka is different from any other like inland earthquake swarm, right? It's not just rocks that are cracking underground. This is a plate boundary where the Pacific seafloor is basically being pushed and forced beneath Russia. And the fault has already shown us what it can do. Let's have a look at the beach ball, the focal mechanism. So the moment tensor is important evidence for our story here about what's going on. So it shows that, I'm looking at the one from the magnitude 6.6. It was a thrust reverse earthquake. So not a random strike slip movement of like a fault above the subduction system or something like this, right? So magnitude 6.6, depth 11.5 kilometers. That's roughly 7.1 miles. We have the percent double couple 91%. That's a clean tectonic signal. And the important part is NP1 dip 16 degrees, rake 94 degrees, that means a very shallow dipping thrust fault. So exactly the kind of movement that is expected on or near a megathrust subduction interface. So the Pacific plate being pushed underneath Kamchatka. And this quake's mechanism fits compression, not sideways tearing like the San Andreas fault, for example. So we have to wait and see, guys. They keep coming. I will keep you updated. And in the meantime, I can only tell you that you have to look at this video because what was going on there is absolutely crazy. If you want to know about a tsunami and how something that is not an earthquake can trigger the world's largest tsunami, and the question is, why are people still living there? Why are they not moving away? Because it will happen. Crazy. You have to know about this, guys. Trust me. Very interesting. Click here and I see you in a second.